Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the show where we read a lot of comic books and we let you know what we thought about them. And we are doing it live. It's been a crazy couple of days, so bear with me. I'm sorry for the lateness of the video and all of that jazz, but I appreciate you being here in the morning. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much. Station, pop, pop, boom, all that. Now, we always start with the pick of the week, and it is the 5th week. That's right. We've had 5 Wednesdays this October, which means that we got a few offerings today. So let's talk about them. But we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week is Robo Wolf issue number 2 from Dark Horse Comics. Now, I was nervous when I heard about the significant delay between issue number 1 and issue number 2 of Robo Wolf. I think issue number 1 came out, oh my goodness, I want to say almost, I don't even remember how long ago it was. And it's been a while since I read it, and I loved it. And it made my pick of the week then. And I was nervous about reading issue number 2 and if I would still find enjoyment or if I had forgotten what was going on. No, this book right up in my face with everything I loved about the first issue. So this is written and illustrated by Jake Smith, a fantastic artist, a great writer. We've seen his work, for instance, on a Godzilla book. And I never remember what the name of that Godzilla book was. It's great. We see his work this week on another Godzilla book. But Robo Wolf is his own creation, his own thing. And everything that I love and adore about cheesy, schlocky 80s science fiction and action movies is present here. So Robo Wolf is basically like RoboCop, but he's a werewolf, okay? So he's a cybernetic werewolf who is trying to save his daughter. And man, I had forgotten everything about the plot of issue number 1. It did not matter here with issue number 2. We get this major villain and the tragic significance of his former relationship with Robo Wolf. Dudes, this is so freaking good. The artwork is insane. The story is bonkers. The characters are wild. It is, like I said, everything I personally love about cheesy 80s action and science fiction. Here we get the origin of Robo Wolf. We get set up for what's to come. We get these crazy slime creatures. Y'all, this book was awesome. And I know it's a small week, but even I think in the biggest week possible, this might still be the pick of the week. I freaking love this book. And if you're worried about how long the gap between issue number 1 and 2 is, have no fear. Robo Wolf is here, and he makes it clear how much we enjoy this book here. Kind of messed up the rhyme scheme, but the pick of the week is Robo Wolf. That's from Dark Horse Comics. Also from Dark Horse, we have Synthetics Volume 1, issue number 1. First of all, when you call your book Synthetics Volume 1, issue number 1, it makes me think that maybe you're planning out a little bit too far. So this is written by J. Michael Straczynski, and I like J. Michael Straczynski, but I wouldn't say I'm the hugest fan. My favorite work from him is, say, Midnight Nation. I love Midnight Nation. Rising Stars, not so much. The Spider-Man runs kind of like up and down for me. But when J. Michael Straczynski does something new, I always try to check it out, and I usually wind up being pretty bored with it, and that's what happened here in Synthetics, Volume 1, issue number 1. This is about a world, an Earth that turns on humanity, and it's no longer viable for humans to live on, right? And as this progresses, right, this environmental catastrophe, as it progresses, humans start adding like synthetic elements to their bodies, and it creates this story where a lot of the issues with the theme and everything are about, like, what does it mean if you're 51% synthetic? Are you no longer human? And this and that. And it's playing with these ideas, and they're ideas that J. Michael Straczynski likes to play with, and he usually plays with them pretty well. But this book came across as pretty boring. The artwork wasn't really much to talk about. I mean, he's a better artist than I am, but it just doesn't quite have an oomph factor that we definitely got out of something like Robo Wolf. So Synthetics did not work for me. Let's jump over to DC, where we've got the Absolute Batman Annual issue number 1. This is from Daniel Warren Johnson. We also got a James Herron story in here. Absolute Batman is such a redonkulously stupid book, and it's so much fun, and it keeps getting better and better. And Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta, the way they work together, the way they are elevating this title, the way they are doing something that is so uniquely outside of the normal for Batman, but also something that is resonating with people, is insane. Now, Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta, they are not here. This is not 100% plugged into the continuity. You don't need to read this book if you're following along with Absolute Batman to really understand where we're going in the story. It doesn't connect that much, but it does tell us the story of how Bruce came across the Batmobile, how that all happened. And also in the backup James Herron story, it's a little bit of a follow-up to some of the Black Mask stuff, or maybe it's a prequel. I'm kind of having trouble remembering it. But what I love about this annual is how badass it is, because they get Daniel Warren Johnson to write and draw this awesome story, and the artwork is absolutely freaking insane. Daniel Warren Johnson is one of the best in the industry. He's making people notice comics. There's a good reason for that, and it's prevalent here in Absolute Batman Annual. Issue number 1 is a heartfelt story, and at the same time, something really cool. And then the James Herron story is awesome. So I will say this. Do not think that you have to read this book in order to get the vibe of what's going on with Absolute Batman. But if you love great comics, you should read this book, because this is awesome. And if you haven't read an Absolute Batman and you've been curious, you can read this one. It sits on its own, 2 completely separate stories. They have elements that tie into what's happened or what is happening in the book, but for the most part, self-contained. It's doing its own thing. And the commitment to great art and allowing those artists also just to tell their stories without the need for a writer or a scripter freaking rocks. The book is amazing. Then we've got Batman and Robin Year 1, issue number 12. This is from Mark Waid and Chris Samney. You know I've been loving this book. If you watch the monthly comic book review that we do every month here on PCP, where me and a few others gather and talk about our favorite comic books of the month, this has been a favorite for the last year for a great reason. And this is such a solid conclusion to this book that will be, I think, a perennial favorite on shelves. As a retailer, this is something I love, because I can sell this book all day, every day, year after year. This is something up there with Batman Year 1, Batman Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, Batman Death of the Family. And I'm not saying it is on the level of, say, like Batman Year 1, like it's as good as David Mazzucchelli or Frank Miller on Batman Year 1, but it does have that perennial, evergreen kind of vibe to it. And it's such a great exploration on the relationship of Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne in their early partnership as Robin and Batman, respectively. I thought it was a solid ending, a great Clayface story, and also some Two-Face action as well. Mark Waid is really hitting a new stride in his career over at DC right now. Batman and Robin Year 1 is awesome, and y'all, a big reason why is Chris Samney, and I think it's Mateus Lopez, yes, on the artwork. Freaking gorgeous. We got another Batman maxi series concluding today, and that is Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue number 10, written by Jeff Loeb. And this one has artwork by Matteo Scalera. I'm a huge fan of Matteo. I've met him in person. I met him with Robbie from Earth 2. He was such a cool dude, so his artwork is amazing. So Tim Sale, unfortunately, we lost him a couple years ago, and this should have had Tim Sale artwork, right, as a follow-up to Batman Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, Catwoman, When in Rome. And I love that story threads from all of those different titles are being pulled together here for this Last Halloween book. Jeff Loeb and the artist attached to this book, because each artist, or each issue, has had a different artist, I should say. I really love the tribute to Tim Sale that this book has become, and definitely will be forevermore. As far as the story goes, it's a satisfying enough conclusion. It's all right. I really need to sit down. Maybe I'll wait till the collected edition comes out, reread it all together, maybe reread it after reading or rereading Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Catwoman, When in Rome, and then jump into here. I think it would hit a little bit better. but I thought it was a super solid finale too. All right, then also from DC, we've got Superman Red and Blue. This is the 2025 special. It's all right. It's got a story in here by Paul Dini and Mirka Andolfo, and I will be honest with you, I was kind of disappointed in that story. I was like, Paul Dini doing a Superman story, like, sign me up, I am down. But the best part was the Michael Walsh story. There is a Michael Walsh story in here. I'm sorry, it's a little bit hot. We're in that era, that zone of the year where you need the AC on, then you need the heat on, then you need the AC on, then you need the heat on. So I'm freaking sweaty today. All right, but the Michael Walsh story is, I don't know, how much does this book cost? This book is $6. I'm not telling you that the Michael Walsh story is worth $6. There's other stories in here as well, and they're just kind of okay. There's a Dan Abnett, Caitlin Yarsky story. There's a Rainbow Roll and a Cian Torme story. Those stories, all the stories are okay, but this Michael Walsh story is freaking awesome. I'm not saying it's worth $6 for like 10 or 12 pages of Michael Walsh doing a Superman story, which, by the way, rocks. But I will say that when you get to your shop, maybe just open it up and take a look at it. There's the Caitlin Yarsky stuff. The other stories are okay. Actually, that Caitlin Yarsky story, who was the writer of that one? That's Dan Abnett. It's actually pretty dumb, to be honest. It's one of those books. Sometimes Superman does stupid ass shit, right? So he'll like reveal too much in an interview to like definitely endanger those around him and himself and his city. That's something that he does there. So honestly, I didn't really like many of these stories, but that Michael Walsh story was not only good, it was like really like heartfelt. I really like that. Let's jump over to Marvel. You know, Marvel's got some books out this week, including Imperial issue number 4. This is the final issue of the Jonathan Hickman saga that is restructuring the cosmic Marvel universe. I've enjoyed this book all the way through. I've enjoyed this ending. I thought this was a great, super solid ending to this book. It sets up a lot of other titles, and I rather enjoy it. So if you want to know what is the new pecking order of the Marvel cosmic universe, read this book. If you like the cosmic stuff, if you dig things like Nova, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Kree, and the Skrull, it's all here. And I really enjoyed this book. It's not Hickman's best. It's definitely not his best at Marvel, but it is one of the better Marvel books of the year, in my opinion. X-Men Age of Revelation. I made a commitment. I told you I was going to read every single issue of Age of Revelation from X-Men. And here we are on week 5. And I am severely regretting that decision because I do not want to continue on with month 2 and 3. That being said, Cloak or Dagger is here in the Age of Revelation. Let's explain this again. 10 years in the future, Doug Ramsey has now ascended fully into the heir of Apocalypse. He's now called Revelation. He releases an X virus on the population that either kills humans or turns humans into mutants. It depends on a lot of weird variables and things like that. So he controls part of the United States or part of the North American continent. And then the humans are fighting back and some mutants are fighting back and all this and that. And it's celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Age of Apocalypse, which should be celebrated. But I guess just like Age of Apocalypse, not all of those books really worked. You know, they weren't all super solid. That's going on here. So Cloak or Dagger, what is this? Cloak and Dagger, two people who are in love with very differing powers. Dagger's got light powers. Cloak's got these dark, shadowy teleportation type powers. They wind up getting hit with this X virus. They become one person, and in a typical like Captain Marvel type way, they can only exist one or the other, right? So when Dagger is present in this reality, Cloak is somewhere else, and then they have to switch, right? And they have to go back and forth. It's all right. It's decent. I'd rather have a solid creative team try to relaunch a Cloak and Dagger. That would be great. But this, not super significant at all to the ongoing story of Age of Revelation. So that's skippable. In fact, all of the Age of Revelation books this week are skippable if you're just trying to get the main flow of the Age of Revelation. So there you go. We also got the Expatriate X-Men issue number 1. This is written by Eve Ewing. So kind of like a follow-up of sorts to what was the book? Exceptional X-Men. It's a Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel led X-Men team in this age of revelation. They're resisting, they're fighting. It's boring. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Then we've got Undeadpool. In this world, the X virus hits Deadpool and tries to mutate him, but his healing factor is combating that. And then he's also not allowed to die because of his healing factor. Basically, because of Deadpool's healing factor and the X virus combined, he is in this existence of just in between life and death. And that's what's going on. And it's fine. It's okay. It was probably one of the better books of the Age of Revelation this week, but it still wasn't very exciting. Still didn't really win me over. And you know what? I committed to reading all of these. I'm going to stick to that commitment because this will be the only time in my life I think I'll read Age of Revelation. Then we have X-Vengers. This is the current Avengers team in the Age of Revelation, mostly mutants and some former Avengers who have been mutated, including Hawkeye. It's interesting enough. You got Danny Moonstar. She's like the new Captain America or something like that. You got Shang-Chi. You got Hawkeye with 6 arms. You got Cannonball. You got Scott Lang. Vision. There's some interesting stuff with Vision and what's going on with like the Warlock Techna arc and all that stuff. And there's an interesting ending actually to Undeadpool as well. So I would say that Undeadpool number 1 might be one of the better ones just because of the ending and how that kind of like tied everything together. But yeah, y'all, Age of Revelation blows. No surprise, I think, to many other people. All right, continuing with Marvel, let's wrap it up here with the Mortal Thor issue number 3. I have not been plugged in to Al Ewing's Thor run. Apparently he died, but it was all a trick by Loki or some other people or something. And now he is a mortal on Earth, doesn't remember who he is. He's a construction worker with a hammer and literally killing people. Like we saw that in the last issue. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm not super plugged into this book, but like, I kind of vibe with this, right? And issue number 3 kind of does the same thing. I actually liked this issue yet again. Pascal Ferry on the artwork is really cool. But y'all, are you as surprised as I am that they're like allowing Thor to just murk people? He is straight up killing people. Now, maybe they're like, oh, he parachuted out or something. That's just a reference to like G.I. Joe or old school cartoons where like they would blow up a plane with an enemy, but you would see like somebody parachuting away. He is straight up killing people. I mean, look at that, y'all. That dude does not survive this. And I actually think this is a rather bold approach for Thor. So I like it. All right, let's jump over to IDW. We got Return to Sleepy Hollow issue number 1. It's a great cover, first of all, right there. So this is a sequel to the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow movie starring Johnny Depp, Christina Ricci. I like that movie enough. It's not like one of my favorite Tim Burton films. It's not one of my favorite Halloween time films, but it is something that I know a lot of people really love. And it's really cool that IDW is trying to reinvigorate their connection to horror in comics because they were kind of like started because of the success of 30 Days of Night, kind of really put IDW on the map. And they have really cemented some interesting licenses to continue some horror films. So they're doing The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or The Return to Sleepy Hollow. They're doing the Event Horizon prequel, which whoever it was in the comments that let me know that Event Horizon book was a prequel to the movie actually made that book make way more sense to me. So that was cool. But upcoming, we got books in the Smile universe from IDW. We also got books in the Quiet Place universe. And I like that. But anyway, this is a sequel of sorts to the original Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow movie. This takes place 15 years later. Ichabod Crane comes back. He's reunited with some people. It's a decent enough book. It was all right. It didn't completely woo me and romance me and wine and dine me, but it was interesting, and I will definitely check out issue number 2. I thought the art was super solid on that book. Then we got Godzilla versus America, in particular, Godzilla versus Kansas City. So this is a neat thing that IDW is doing, where they're doing these Godzilla books that are $8 one-shots focused in on a city, and then they intentionally use creators from said city. So I know we've had Godzilla versus Boston. We've had Godzilla versus Los Angeles, I believe. I think we've had another one, and I don't remember it. It's Kansas City. All right. But I've been to Kansas City. I visited that town. Great barbecue. I went to Kauffman Stadium to see the Twins play the Royals. The Royals won. This was in the time when I think it was Johannes Santana is his name, was pitching. So I'm dating myself a little bit because that was the early 2000s. But anyway, I like this book. It was solid. Like, it's creators from Kansas City using Kansas City and landmarks from Kansas City to tell a Godzilla story. There's 4 different stories in here with a bunch of different people, including our man, Jake Smith. Man, Jake Smith, I hope you watch this video. I love your work so much. We got to get you on the channel. I want to talk to you. But that book was fun. Then we got the TMNT annual issue number 1. We just wrapped up Jason Aaron and Juan Ferreira's run on TMNT, and it was awesome. It was great. It's one of the best modern day Turtles books out there. This is just an annual. You don't need to read this. It's not 100% necessary to read this to understand or be plugged into what's going on with the Turtles or what's coming next. But what it does do is it gives us a little bit of untold tales about what happened at the time that the brothers were apart from the early part of the Jason Aaron run. So you get a Michelangelo story, you get a Leonardo story. I think it would have been better if they just did little short stories of all of them, but I think Raph and Donnie have actually been explored a lot. So having Mikey and Leo a little bit more elaborated on with what they were doing while the brothers were kind of split apart, because that was kind of the gist of the Jason Aaron run. It was that the Turtles were apart for a year, and then they have to come back together. And man, what a great run that was. I'm going to miss it. Well, we got Gene Luen Yang coming on. We'll see what happens. All right. From Ignition Press, we got Beauty, issue number 1. This is actually the Beauty Volume 2, issue number 1. So the Beauty was a book that came out about 10 years ago, but there is a movie or a TV series or something that's about to debut that's based on it. So, of course, they got to bring the property back. I think it was a Boom or an Image book back in the day. I don't remember. I never finished reading it, but it is written by Jeremy Hahn, who is the co-writer of lots of great stuff, including Red Mother. But Jason A. Hurley is the co-writer here. Emmanuel Lupacino on the artwork. This is a world in which there is a sexually transmitted disease that makes people more beautiful. Seriously, it like, you lose fat, your features get sharper, you become beautiful because of this sexually transmitted disease. Some people want it, some people don't. And then the disease eventually like burns people up and kills them, things like that. I remember the book, but I wasn't completely wowed by it, and I don't really remember too much about it. So I was kind of nervous. I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this Beauty number 1 and probably have a bad review on it just because I didn't finish the last one or whatever. No, I liked this book. I thought it was great. I thought the art was great. I thought the story was great. It put me right back into that world, even though I feel like I only read like the first 2 issues of that original one. So if you want to check out Beauty, especially with the upcoming TV show or whatever it is, definitely check it out. Ignition Press has been impressing me. Not 100%, but they've been impressing me, especially for a new publisher, including books like this. This is Voyeur, issue number 2. This is written by Leah Williams with artwork by David Baldion. Art is great. The story is solid. This is about an art thief and an art thief who meet each other through a voyeuristic nature. It's a sexy book. It's a clean book. As Jelani would say, this book is clean as fuck, right? And I like it. I like this book. I liked issue number 2. We kind of pull back a little bit and retell another side of the story that was told in issue number 1 and then bring us up to date to really set us off. So now I got to really see where we go with issue number 3. But I think Leah Williams, for the most part, is kind of like a verbose, and I don't know, her work doesn't always quite work for me. Here, it really does. 2 issues in, I'm really enjoying this book. All right. From Dynamite, our friends over at Dynamite, we get Supernatural issue number 1. This is a brand new Supernatural book written by Greg Pak with artwork by Adair Macias. It's not a bad book. It's pretty solid, actually. It's a pretty good book. It's a good, solid comic book with really solid dialogue and really great character portrayals of Sam and Dean and their journey and what's going on. If you are a fan of Supernatural, I would recommend this. Me personally, not quite the biggest Supernatural fan. I've watched like the first 8 seasons or something of that show, and to me, it just kind of like, I don't know, it's not my favorite thing, but I do enjoy it and I do appreciate it. So I'm at least familiar enough with the property to know that this book gets it, that Greg Pak understands these characters and the vibe of the story. It is set at some place within the series. This isn't like Supernatural season 16 or anything like that. It is its own thing, but it's set within the series, and I can't quite place it because I'm not like the uber fan of Supernatural that other people are. Basically, what I'm saying is this. If you are an uber fan, if you are a fan of Supernatural, read this book. It's a must read. If you're not, it's skippable. But at the same time, it's actually a pretty solid book with some really excellently written dialogue. So there you go. All right. Then we've got Disney Villains, Maleficent, issue number 1. This is actually volume 2, issue number 1. Paulina Ganicho is the writer of this book. The artist is Theo Stoltz. I like the art. I like the story. Maleficent, to me, is the greatest Disney villain of all time. So it makes sense why Dynamite would go back to Maleficent before doing other Disney villains. They've done a Scar series. They've done a Cruella de Vil series. They've done a Hades series, actually. Hey, these nuts. Y'all, if you really want to get somebody, just like walk up into a conversation and then act like this is a part of the conversation. Be like, oh yeah, it's just like, what was the name of the underworld in Greek mythology? And then somebody in that group is going to be very excited to show off their knowledge. And they're going to go, Hades. And then you go, hey, these nuts are all over your face. And it will cause something to happen. Trust me. That being said, Maleficent has nothing to do with Hades, but Maleficent is a really cool character. And this is a story that takes place right after she has cursed Aurora and trying to find her power. And I really liked it. I thought it was super cool. I had a conversation with Paulina about this book. So y'all should check that out because I like the book and I love, that's Paulina's cover right there. Dude, Maleficent's the shit. So there you go. All right, then we got Thundercats Shitara, issue number 1. This is Thundercats Shitara World Breaker. It's just a one-shot comic book. So it's not like the Sue Lee. By the way, Sue Lee did the original, the first Maleficent Disney Villains book. And if you've not read that, because she wrote and illustrated that book, if you've not read that, it's freaking awesome. It's probably one of the best. It is the best Disney Dynamite book they've done so far, I would say. All right. Thundercats Shitara World Breaker, issue number 1. It's a decent enough one-shot story. It's written by Nate Crosby, who I believe is an editor over at Dynamite. It's got some fun stuff. If you're plugged into the Thundercats world, definitely check it out because it does have some things that tie into the past of that run and also into the future. So I liked it. It was okay, but I think if you're not reading the Thundercats books, it won't really do too much for you. Then we've got Thundercats issue number 20. So we got a 1-2 punch of Thundercats this week from Dynamite. This is written, of course, by Declan Shalvey. I think he's been doing a great job here. Now we got Joe Mulvey back on the artwork, as well as David O'Sullivan. This is a flashback issue that is showing us the dynamic and the relationship between Jaga and Mumra and how that tragic split happened between those two. So I like it. This book, Declan is taking his time with it. And you know what? Dynamite's happy, I guess, with the sales, and they're allowing Declan just to take his time telling this story. I want a little bit more out of the Thundercats book, but it's still giving me enough for me to enjoy. Then we've got Sonia Reborn, issue number 3, written by Christopher Priest with really great artwork from Alessandro Miracolo. What else can I say? So Sonia Reborn, Christopher Priest has never written Red Sonja. He's been writing Vampirella for years at this point, right? And he's been building up this one big story, but he hasn't really done a lot of work with Red Sonja, but he's got an interesting approach. So there's a woman from the modern day, the modern era, who is going through some crazy shit, right? She's going through it, right? And one day, while on the run from the police because of everything she's going through, she wakes up in a cave, walks out of the cave in the Hyperborean age, and she's Red Sonja. So it's a modern woman on the run, placed in the body of Red Sonja back in the Hyborian age. Is that what they call it? Hyborian or Hyperborean? Hyborian, right? I got to call Jim Zub. He would know. But no, I like the book. It's fun, and like Christopher Priest is able to put a different spin on Red Sonja to not just a lot of Red Sonja books are kind of the same. You know what I'm saying? Just like a lot of Conan books can kind of be the same sometimes. And sometimes that's a little bit boring. But this is an interesting take and approach to the character of Red Sonja through the lens and eyes of another version of her. I really like it. I'm liking the book. Might be my favorite Dynamite book this week. All right. From Image Comics, we don't have a lot, but we do have Feral, issue number 17, written by Tony Fleece with artwork by Trish Forstner and Tone Rodriguez. You know I'm a fan of this book. It is a zombie tale. Everything you love about Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, whatever of the dead, Twilight, blah, blah, the dead, like blah, 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 the dead. This is like Cats of the Dead is what it is, right? So I love this book. They've been recently doing their own Dawn of the Dead thing where instead of a mall, they're at a pet store. Everything collapses. Now they got to like make a move. This issue was great. I loved it. It's cats. It's cats with zombies. And it's making me appreciate what I loved about zombie fiction this whole time. And the book is excellent. And I love these homage covers. That's an homage to Halloween 2. If you're not aware, and I'm giving that the cover of the week. And that cover is by Tony Fleece and Trish Forstner. So there you go. Also from Image, we have Universal Monsters Dracula Special Black and White Edition. I think this is just a 2-issue series because I think they're doing 2 issues per. So I think this is basically a reprint of Dracula 1 and 2 from Universal and Skybound, but in black and white. I think that the Dracula book by James Tynion and Martin Simmons artwork in particular is striking. I think in black and white, it's not quite as striking, but it is cool to see the work in black and white. So I'm glad that they did that. And you know what? That gets the smell of the week because it smells like Halloween. All right. From Titan Comics, we have Conan the Barbarian, Scourge of the Serpent, issue number 2. Jim Zub's been writing Conan. Jim Zub's been doing Conan right. I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the Red Sonja book that Red Sonja books and Conan books can get rather boring and be very samey. Jim Zub is able to take what we expect and want from a Conan book and give us exactly that, but also make it fresh and exciting. That's what he's doing here with his latest crossover of generations and different characters throughout the Howard-verse. He's bringing it together. It works so well. The art is great. Jim Zub's Conan, if you're not reading it, shame on you. All right, from Mad Cave Studios, we got Dick Tracy, the Halloween special. Alex Sakura and Michael Morisi have been doing a fantastic job with the Dick Tracy books, and this one's all right. It's a solid enough story. It's just like it's a Halloween one-shot tale. You can read it, you can watch it, or you can buy it, you can leave it at the shop. You can kind of skip it and ignore it if you want to. But if you're liking the Dick Tracy book, I think you should check it out. It's interesting. To me, it's got more of the flavor of the movie in this one. And if you read the book, you'll understand why. And there is a second story in here called Witch-splaining, and that one was just kind of all right. But the main story was decent, and it was decent enough. Then we've got The Phantom, issue number 2 from Mad Cave. Mad Cave is really stepping it up when it comes to these licensed properties. The Dick Tracy book is great. I hear a lot of people liking the Gatchaman stuff. I really enjoy their work on Speed Racer right now. And The Phantom is cool, man. I love The Phantom. I used to read The Phantom in the newspaper when I was a kid. I would check out the funnies and read The Phantom. I think that's Lee Falk, right? But I'd read that stuff, and I love the Billy Zane movie. I got to have a conversation with Billy Zane this year at the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. I got to run his panel. Unfortunately, no video of that because he was refusing to allow the panel to be captured. But I like The Phantom, and this book is scratching that itch. And I think Mad Cave is doing a solid job with her licensed properties. All right, that's what I read. That's what I thought. That's what I'm digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let's go through the books again and give it the you dig scale. So out of 5 possible you digs, what would I rate these books? The Phantom, I would give a solid 3. Dick Tracy Halloween Special, I would give a 3. Conan Scourge of the Serpent, I would give a 4. Dracula Black and White, I've read it before. I loved it. It's in black and white, which to me doesn't quite have the artistic power of the color, mostly the use of red. So I would drop down and say black and white version is a 4.5, where the color version is a 5. Feral, I'm giving 5. You digs right there, y'all. That's a contender for pick of the week. Sonia Reborn gets a 3.5. Thundercats gets a 3. Thundercats Shitara gets a 2.5. It's good. It's okay. Nothing really super crazy. Maleficent gets a 4 from me. Supernatural gets a 3.5. Voyeur gets a 4 out of me. Beauty gets a 4.5. TMNT Annual gets a 4. Godzilla versus Kansas City, I'll give that one a 3.5. Return to Sleepy Hollow, I'll give a 3.5. The Mortal Thor, I'm going to give a 4. The Mortal Thor? How about an Immortal Thor? X-Vengers, 2.5. Undeadpool, 3. Expatriate X-Men, 2. Cloak Dagger, 2. Imperial, 4. I like it. Thought that was pretty solid. Superman, Red and Blue, 2025 special. I'll give it a 2.5, but the Michael Walsh story, I would give a 5. Straight up. Batman Long Halloween, Last Halloween, the final issue, I'll give that a 3.5. Batman and Robin, Year 1, issue number 12, I'll give a 4.69. Absolute Batman Annual gets a 5, you digs. Synthetics, 1, you dig. Worst book, as Jim Mint would say, pick of the week, if you know what I'm saying. But Robo Wolf, issue number 2, gets 5, you digs, a perfect score for me. Love that book. Everything I love about cheesy 80s sci-fi action is present in that book to the next degree. I loved it. Anyway, that's what I read. That's what I'm thinking. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much if you watched this live. I appreciate it. I got to get ready to go to work. And then tonight, we got Horror Fest. The finale of the PCP side of Horror Fest is tonight with the Chucky franchise. So join us tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time. We're talking about all the Chucky movies. And then tomorrow night, we've got John Carpenter's The Thing on Blood Splatter Chatter. Last night over at One Collection Down, they did 30 Days of Night. So Horror Fest is going on. Happy Halloween. We love you. We're dipping out. Station, pop, pop, boo, hoo, hoo.